3 verse 110. Kuntum khaira ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas ta'miruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. That ye are the best of people evolved for mankind because we enjoy what is good and forbid what is wrong. If we do not enjoy what is good and forbid what is wrong, we aren't the best of people. So Najib Jung, being a vice chancellor of Jamia Millia, doesn't know this verse of the Quran. It's compulsory duty. So he's saying it is a problem with such Muslims. It is the duty of every practicing Muslim. Similarly, that girl who said, that means she does not agree. Yes, she does not mind, but she does not agree. Similarly, when I said that if a person does not have drugs, and if I counsel him don't have drugs, then Najib Jung will be happy. Because the secular world feels that drug is wrong. So just because the secular world feels that the drug is harmful, and when I'm counseling a person who's a drug addict, don't have drugs, they're happy. Similarly, when I have knowledge of the Quran, and I know that modesty is important, and if you hear my talks on women's rights in Islam, that why is hijab required? As the Quran says in Surah Ahzab, chapter 33, verse 59, O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the believing women that when they go abroad, they should put on the cloak, put on the jilbab, so that they shall be recognized and it will prevent them from being molested. One of the reasons for eavesdropping, for molestation, for the rape is the way the girls are dressed up. Besides the rapist being responsible, even the girls and the ladies wearing such clothes are responsible. Tali duat se bachti hai. And I've given various answers. Time doesn't permit me to give a long answer. But if you see my cassette on women's rights in Islam, I've given the reason for hijab, or misconception about Islam. What is the reason for hijab? So a girl who knows this will really want to be modest. On the other hand, the girl who is revealing more than concealing, why is she doing this? Even she knows that by revealing, more people will look at her. So she wants more people to look at her. She may not like being raped, that's a different question. But, you know, as I said, that she is responsible. So what we realize that Islam is a religion which has the solution to the problems of humankind. Most of the religions may say not to rob, not to rape. Islam has a solution how to prevent robbery. Islam has a solution how to prevent rape and molestation. But if everyone follows Islam, then who will go to the fashion shows? Who will see fashion TV? Who will see these movies? So it will be a hit on the billion-dollar industry. So that's the reason this billion-dollar industry, the media, is trying its level best that no one accepts this modest dress code. And that's the reason they have such show, because if everyone agrees with the modest dress code, then this industry would go in a loss.
It's appropriate that we have comments from Dr. Zakir on the attacks or negative comments received on the show. We have from non-Muslim brothers. One is Mahesh VK, who says, Dr. Zakir Naik is a big fraud. Dr. Zakir, your comments.
Fine, if I'm a fraud, where is the fraud? You point out where the fraud is and I'll accept it. Just by saying so-and-so person is a fraud, you tell me which portion of my speech was a fraud, or which action of mine was a fraud, and analyze it, and if it is the truth, I'll accept it. But just making an allegation without giving proof, it's not a work of an honest person.
Modern times requires evidence-based allegations, or keep them merely as allegations, not as statements of facts.
Or the statement was a fraud.
Yeah. Okay. And then we have another brother of a similar kind. His name is Girish. On the website he asks, only Muslims are interested in the crap of Dr. Zakir Naik. If you wanted that, you can better watch it on YouTube or some other channel. Why do you expect NDTV to allow him to lecture and bore the rest of the audience?
That you have to ask NDTV, why did they call me? If they didn't want to hear my crap, why did they call me? As someone said, maybe to increase the TRP or to increase the viewership. And the first party said that non-Muslims aren't interested in hearing me. I'm sorry, I disagree with that. For most of my talks, what we have in public, approximately 25% to one-third of the audience are non-Muslims. And that's the reason when you see in the question answer session, we only give opportunity to non-Muslims to ask. And these non-Muslims, you can interview them, they have been living, and the non-Muslims know them. So it can't even be planted like the way they have in the talk shows. So that's how open we are. And even the viewership of the Peace TV, just for the knowledge of the non-Muslim, that one-third of the viewers of Peace TV are non-Muslims. Not only in India, in fact throughout the world, alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah, Dr. Zakir. I think the audience gets more enlightened on that. Any questions, if any brother here would like to put forward to Dr. Zakir on this? Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Brother, don't you think we are showing too much discomfort after this program and making the skeptics happy with this? I mean, I believe that you can pull it off and you can make many more opportunities after this.
That's a very good question. That aren't we overdoing it? Isn't the overreaction by us to do such a show? We'll have many other opportunities. I partly agree with you. And that's what some people said, that don't do the show. But they were more in favor. So doing this show is not mainly regarding NDTV, this show, We the People. We the People and Barkhadat are insignificant for me. I do agree with you. Don't misunderstand that this show is done only about NDTV and Barkhadat. Impossible. If this is your analysis, I agree with you totally. It's a waste of time. But this show mainly is exposing in general what talk shows are. That's the reason, if you realize that the earlier 45 minutes, we didn't speak about NDTV. It is the audience which is asking me. If they ask, I have to answer. So basically, NDTV per se is not what is important. It is to let the public know what talk show is about. And since this program was aired recently, we find many questions coming on that. What I would request that even if public ask in general what talk shows are, it's important. So here what is it? That we are having specific time on that issue. Though I have spoken about media, but normally when a person poses me a question and answer session, the answer can't be for more than 3, 4 or 5 minutes. Here we have a couple of hours to speak about it, post-mortem it, and discuss it. So it's very important that the main purpose of this show is to let the people know what goes behind the scene. And I'm sure, if you're not a man of the media, do you know that by editing, if I take your TV interview and I take your comment and I edit, as I mentioned earlier, you too would feel it was a slip of the tongue, which maybe before the show you weren't aware of it. Were you aware that a portion can be cut? You are aware editing is done. But even if I take your interview, you would be shocked and you will think that it was a slip of the tongue when you say that, if you disagree with George Bush, I'll make you feel as though you're agreeing. So these things, if examples are given, this is not part of the show, not part of NDTV. I gave a couple of examples of NDTV, but generally what happens behind the scene. So the main purpose of this is not overdoing it, is to expose the truth behind the TV talk shows.
Jazakallah, Dr. Zakir. We continue with our displeasure, discontent, distress. These kind of comments continue, a few before me now. We have Shabbir Ghani saying, shame on NDTV and Barkhadat, such a biased show. Shumaila Siddiqui says, I mean, show. The show was useless. Sami Imtiaz says, I have and keep telling that Barkhadat in a program is always trying only one thing, that's to project herself. She is devoid of any intellectual material, nor do her show offer any intellectual appeal. Masroor Ashraf says, agree with you. Over the years, Barkha has hogged the limelight. She has become more arrogant. I'm starting to hate NDTV because of her. I hope Pranoy Roy is reading these comments. Nadia Jamal says, I was your fan till yesterday, Barkha, but not anymore. After watching We the People yesterday and not letting the Islamic scholars speak who hold the thorough knowledge of Islam, let me clear the misconception about Islam. It is not the religion only for Muslims, but for whole mankind. I would advise you to read and do a thorough research before conducting shows on Muslims and Islam. On this note, we throw open the floor for questions from our brothers here. Any comments? Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum, Zakir bhai.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Zakir bhai, you are a media man. It would be interesting to know your perspective on why the media, not only in India, but all over the world, take so much pleasure in maligning Islam. What are the forces that compel these people to malign Islam at every given opportunity?
The question regarding why does media enjoy or why does the media malign Islam? Because, as you're aware, that Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world. And the reason they want to malign is because it is a very good way of getting high TRP. For example, you write a book against Islam and high chance it will become the bestseller. Similarly, you have programs against Muslims and your viewership will increase. Because today Islam is the fastest growing religion. And that's the reason the more the people malign Islam, these people who don't like Islam, they want to promote it. So that's one of the major reasons I feel that the media also loves maligning Islam so that they can benefit from the viewership.
Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Shah Rukh Khan is boastfully proud of being a Muslim. He even said in the program that every moment he remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this respect, what message, what advice would you give him so that his life becomes more meaningful for this world and the hereafter? And secondly, he happened to say that if his children, he won't want to teach in a stricter Islamic way. So, what is this stricter Islamic way teaching, and then what kind of values may be imbibed in the children so that they get the Islamic value in them?
The best suggestion I can give as far as for a person who says that he thinks of Allah always, the best I can say is that if he reads the translation of the Quran. He said he has read the Quran in Arabic, he has read it in English, but if he keeps on reading Quran and makes it a part of his daily life, because the glorious Quran is the most positive book in the world. It's a proclamation to humanity. It's a fountain of mercy and wisdom. It's a guide to the erring. It's hope to those in despair. It's a solace to the suffering. And it's an assurance to those in doubt. I feel if a person is attached to the Quran, that's the best guide that he can have. As far as he mentioning that he wants his children to learn Islam, it's nice of him to say that he wants his children to learn Islam, but he's a little bit skeptical that not the Islam which is followed by certain Muslims who he feels may be going to one extreme or one excess. So the best what I feel as far as the young generation is there, we should talk to them Islam with reason, logic and science. Islam is the most scientific religion, it is the most logical religion, and it is a religion which has the solution to the problems of humankind. So if you explain Islam in the right way, inshallah the youngsters, and that is the reason today we find that the younger generation, they are coming closer to Islam even than their parents.
Jazakallah. We have a negative comment from brother Sabir Bhatt, non-Muslim. He says, this on the website, "Hello Barkha, religions are all antiquated. Why did you have to bring in a nutcase like Zakir Naik on the show? Surah number so-and-so. Give me a break, this guy cannot think on his own. He should have sent his gramophone record instead. Isn't it time for human beings to move on and on, away from history and religions? You can learn from them, but why to? See, more make them a cornerstone for your present day thought. We have covered a lot of ground in the last 5,000 years or 1400 years. Why are these clowns dragging us back in time? I was even surprised that Shah Rukh wants to call himself a Muslim. Sorry, makes me laugh. What is he? Possibly a vote bank? Why can't we just be humans?"
As far as comments that why are we going back in time and why should we call ourselves Muslims, why can't we just be humans? But naturally, as I mentioned earlier, that to be a good Muslim, you have to be a good human first. It's like someone telling me, fine, why not pass standard 10? I'm talking about post-graduation. So passing standard 10 is like becoming a good human being. Being a postgraduate is like becoming a good Muslim. So the person only happy by passing standard 10, that's his choice. I want to be a postgraduate. So to be a postgraduate, besides being a good human being, I should be a good Muslim. I should submit my will to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to our Creator. And if I follow His advice, that will make me successful in this world as well as hereafter.
May we have some questions on general, from our brothers here, not necessarily on the talk show. I know it is topical, it is recent, it is relevant, what we had on NDTV. Any other specific question you'd have on TV talk shows, we'd appreciate that from any of our brothers. Yes, brother.
Brother, I've always heard you saying that Muslims should know how to reply in media. And we all know that the Muslim celebrities and sportsmen, they are often on media. So what would you suggest to these Muslims to how to be interact? Because they feel like Inshallah and Mashallah is only Islam. While talking to media, they say Inshallah, Mashallah, and they feel very proud of it. So what would be your suggestion to such Muslims who are often in media?
Those Muslims who are sportsmen and who are celebrities, they're in the media, I feel that they should take this opportunity. And I feel they should be able to convey the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, how it is done, it should be done subtly. Because if he's the sportsman, if he's the celebrity, maybe he'll be having many non-Muslims as followers. So this is a good opportunity where he can convey the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like he should get in his life the teachings of Islam. And if the person is a practicing Muslim, he will surely do it. Unfortunately, it's a pity that most of the Muslim celebrities, whether they're sportsmen or whether they're in the film industry, unfortunately, they're far away from practicing Islam. So that gives a very negative picture of Islam. So if they come closer to the Quran and closer to practicing Islam, inshallah, immediately they will feel that they will be good ambassadors of Islam.
We have two quick comments from the website. Javed Sheikh says, look guys, I won't blame Shah Rukh because he didn't speak anything on the Quran and Sunnah. He admitted the fact that he is not a practicing Muslim and more work is needed to be done on his part. And he honestly said the fact that we Muslims need specialists, that's people like Zakir Naik. So he respected the ulamas and scholars, just that he's having his personal jihad to be a better Muslim. He didn't offend us like the stupid Kabir Khan or Soha Ali Khan. He was keeping quiet for a reason. We have another comment regarding the talk show from Ahmad Abdullah. Says at the rate of smart TS, well, if you go through details and a little bit of research, then you will come to know that 9/11 was well-manipulated massacre planned by American politics. More than 200 engineers and architects from America only have proved that, and Fahrenheit 9/11 exposes the truth through film industry media. And for more, you can go to www.911myths.com. Don't get driven by what big banners show you, because what they have is a proper platform, but what you have is a brain to use. We have Zainab Ahmad asking, the worst part was when Dr. Zakir was given a chance to speak. They just barged on him, and that was after they had their say. I feel the topic on Bin Laden shouldn't have risen. They would have done it on purpose. I would request Dr. Zakir to comment on this, you know.
As I said earlier, that Barkhadat had done homework and she knew my views, not that she was not expecting that answer. She knew that answer, very well she knew the answer, but she also knew that she could cut me down and she would not give an opportunity for me to explain. So she has done her homework well, and I knew what was coming.
We have some comments from other brothers. Shahbaz Siddiqui says, my point is that they called him just to raise their TRPs of their show. We the people, how many people agreeing to it? Commenting on Dr. Zakir. We have Bint Abdullah saying, after all, what they did with Dr. Zakir, mashallah, he was calm and smiling. May Allah bless and reward him for his patience. Shahbaz Siddiqui says, he was not even given a chance and he was stopped every time when he came to the topic. They gave a chance to people who can run their media. Shame on our Indian media who is next to the terrorists. We would like to ask on this particular note, we've had so many comments which are people who are so perturbed, disturbed by this kind of attitude of the media, which does not let us have a clear picture about stereotyping of Muslims. And it just remains an inconclusive talk show for many who saw the program. I would like Dr. Zakir to give a more in-depth understanding of what can we do about such a situation in the modern world we live in.
Are you talking about the talk show or about the topic of the talk show?
About the talk show and how they come to conclusions which are not wholesome as such.
As far as the talk show is concerned, as I said, that most of the talk show, they have an agenda. And most of them, they're able to meet the agenda. So a viewer, therefore, doesn't know what the real views of the panelists are. Or they get a person on the panel which toes the same line. So therefore, I feel that most of the talk shows, they don't speak the truth. Therefore, I'm not too much in favor of talk shows. And this show that we are having here is made to expose what is behind the talk show. So therefore, next time when a person sees the talk show, you should keep in mind that are these people speaking the truth? Or is the moderator allowing the truth to be spoken? Or is the producer not editing it? So these things will surely, next time, all those who have heard this program would give a second thought before making the conclusion after seeing a talk show.
Many of the brothers outside and some here have raised the issue that don't we feel in India, many of these talk shows, especially in the kind of societies we live in the modern world, they tend to be more inclusive than exclusive. You have to be more subtle than upright for what you say. That's what they sometimes tend to look at. How would we as Muslims tend to handle this kind of situation that we face in these talk shows?
I feel you should call a spade a spade. There's nothing of being subtle. Yes, you should speak with hikmah. As the Quran says in Surah Nahl, chapter 16, verse 125, Udu ila sabri rabbika bil hikmah wal maw'izati al hasana wa jadil bil lati ahsan. That invite all to the way of their Lord with wisdom and preaching, and argue with them and reason with them in the ways that are best and gracious. We as Muslims should use hikmah while answering to the media as well as while being on the talk show.
2-3 brief comments from the website, Most of these comments which we are reading out before our audience are mostly on the NDTV website itself after the program was aired. I think more than 60-70% of these comments are taken from there, while a few are from other famous websites which we know of. We have Abdullah Baisa who says, I weren't even watching that channel before, but when I came to know Dr. Zakir too will be there, direct, I expected much at least to give him chance to explain the things which those people don't know. I'm sad, really sad. We have Shahbaz Siddiqui who says, yeah, exactly, you watched it because of Dr. Zakir Naik, but there was nothing from him because he was not given a chance to speak, and NDTV got the viewers. A nice plan made by NDTV. Media really sucks. And Danish Khan says, Dr. Zakir did a great job. Got to see his patients today. 3 cheers for him. Can we have some final comments on this from some of our brothers here? And any queries for Dr. Zakir? Yes, brother.
The aim of this program was to expose the double standards of the media, I suppose. Do you think we have reached the aim? That is number one. Another thing is, how do we reach out to the people who are watching NDTV? I mean, this will be aired on Peace TV. What about the viewers who are hooked on to NDTV? How do we reach this exposed matter to them?
As far as have we reached or have we achieved the goal? Yes, to a great extent. To a great extent, yes. How can we reach the viewers of NDTV? I feel, besides this being aired on Peace TV, it will be aired even on other channels. Surely NDTV will not accept it. Surely, they aren't that bold. What we can do, we can post it on the internet, on the YouTube, and make it popular. So that's one way who the seekers of truth. As far as everyone who has watched this program will not be able to see it. But what we fail to realize that the viewership of Peace TV, according to me, is far more than the viewership of NDTV. NDTV may have more viewership in India, but Peace TV is an international channel which has more than 100 million viewers. So in terms of that, the Peace TV viewership is bigger. And our main aim is not only to let the viewers of NDTV know about it. Viewers of all the satellite channels should know. So anyone who is a TV watcher, who watches normal channels which have talk shows, they would be aware that when they watch a talk show, what is behind the scenes.
We have a brother here, Smarty S. He says, I'm confused here. There are hundreds of videos of Mr. Zakir Naik openly saying against India and praising terrorists. He also says 9/11 was done by Americans, not by some jihadis. Why are my Indian Muslim brothers supporting him instead of SRK or Madni Sahib, who are standing against terrorism? I think Dr. Zakir would be the best one to answer
I would
that.
like Smarty S to point out a single talk of mine where I have spoken against India. I always say I'm proud to be an Indian. I'm proud to be a Muslim also. I'm proud to be an Indian Muslim. As far as supporting terrorists, in fact, I have given the talk on terrorism. And the Quran clearly mentions in Surah Ma'idah chapter 5 verse 32 that if anyone kills any other human being, unless it be for murder or for spreading corruption in the land, it is as though he has killed the whole of humanity. So killing any innocent human being according to the Quran is as though he has killed the whole of humanity. I'm totally against a person terrorizing any innocent human being. What he may be saying, who he thinks is a terrorist, and who I say I don't know. So if I don't know, and I've got no proof that the person is the terrorist, I cannot condemn him. That doesn't mean I'm supporting terrorism. What I'm saying, that who they call as a terrorist, there isn't any sufficient proof to call that person a terrorist. But terrorizing innocent people in all ways has to be condemned, and Quran and Islam condemns the killing of any innocent human being.
Jazakallah, brother. Maybe have 2 or 3 questions from the brothers. The next question from the brother in the front.
Walaikum assalam.
What is the Muslim identity and is it required?
As far as the whole talk show on We the People, the Muslim identity is concerned, I don't think the talk show did justice. What is the Muslim identity? And if you want to know what the Muslim identity is, you have to go to the authentic sources. That is the Quran and the Sahih Hadith. And as far as the Muslim identity is concerned, identity means the person should identify. The practice of Muslim are many. You should be honest, you should not cheat, you should not tell a lie, etc., etc. But identity means a label. And the label for a Muslim is, as per mentioned in the Hadith of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's mentioned in Sahih Bukhari, volume number 7, in the book of Death, Hadith number 5892, that the beloved Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, that do the opposite of what the pagans do. Trim your mustaches and let your beard grow. So growing the beard is the commandment of the Prophet. And that is one of the identity of the Muslim. It's a sunnah. Some people call it fard, the difference of opinion. But no one says that it is not part of Islam, except those people who don't have knowledge of Islam. And the other identity is covering the head. The Prophet always, whenever he went out, he always covered his head. Sometimes with a helmet, sometimes with a turban, sometimes with a cloth. Covering the head is the sunnah of the Prophet. And this can be seen in various hadith of Sahih Bukhari, volume number 7, in the book of Dress, chapter number 16, as well as Sahih Bukhari, volume number 7, in the book of Dress, hadith number 5807, where the Prophet covered his head. Though it's not a fard in Islam to cover, it's not compulsory in Islam to cover the head, it's a sunnah, it is recommended. So these two things, covering the head, whether with a turban or with a cap or with a scarf, the gent scarf which is called as a gatra, and sporting a beard, is the true identity of a Muslim. And if a person is proud to be a Muslim, he should be proud to wear the label. As I mentioned earlier, that a doctor is proud to put doctor before his name because he's proud to be a doctor. Similarly, a person who is a practicing Muslim and is proud to be a Muslim should wear the identity, the label of a Muslim, that is the cap or a turban covering the head and sporting a beard.
Yes, brother.
Dr. Zakir, has your Muslim identity, the beard and the skull cap, ever been an obstruction for you, especially post 9/11?
As far as the Muslim identity, the skull cap and the beard being obstruction for me, as far as my colleagues or the people who are in the same field as me, that is propagation and giving lectures, I know most of my colleagues have been in tough situations, keeping a beard, wearing a skull cap, traveling to different countries, especially going through immigration. But as far as I'm concerned, alhamdulillah, summa alhamdulillah, this cap and beard has never ever been an obstruction before 9/11 or post 9/11. In fact, it has benefited many times. Never was I in a situation where I felt that this is causing obstruction. Yes, there were situations which were delicate, especially when I traveled to different countries. And there were many occasions where they did question me. And especially the attire that I am. Besides having a cap and a beard, I'm wearing a suit and a tie. It's a soft target. But this has always given me opportunity to do more dawah. I'd like to narrate one incident that when I'd gone to Los Angeles, post 9/11, 2001, I think it was in 2003, 1.5 years after the 9/11 attack, I went to Los Angeles. And seeing in this attire, I was expecting that there would be special interrogation for me. And that's exactly what happened. And they sent me to a special immigration officer and started questioning me. You know, telling me that, what type of a Muslim are you? I said, I'm a Muslim. Are you a Wahhabi? I said, Wahhab is the name of attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm Abdul Wahhab. I'm a servant of Allah. And asking me that, what's your profession? I said, my profession is to spread the truth. Because Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, said, it's mentioned in the Bible, seek the truth and truth shall free you. And this way the conversation went. And where the immigration officer asked me, that why have you come here? I said, I've come to receive awards. So award for what? I said, for spreading the truth. And later on when I went to the customs, I purposely said that I've come to attend a conference. Oh, conference? Okay, go for checking. And when they opened my suitcase, they found one of my DVDs, the title of which was Terrorism and Jihad in Islamic Perspective. And it showed a gun on the cover. They said, do you believe in jihad? I said, yes, I believe in jihad. Jihad means striving and struggling. Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, believed in jihad. No, do you believe in fighting? I said, yes, Jesus Christ said. It's mentioned in the Gospel of Luke that take the sword and fight. It's mentioned in the Bible many a time that you have to fight, in the book of Leviticus, in the book of Numbers, in the book of Exodus. You know, there were about 8 or 9 custom officers. They gathered together and said, that, sir, can we ask you one more question? Sir, can we ask you one more question? And I told my host who were waiting for me that, don't worry, I'm just doing some dawah. So I grabbed every opportunity to convey the message of Islam. I know it's a critical situation, especially when you go through immigration, through custom, crossing from one country to the other. I would not advise everyone to give the same answers as me, because they may not be well versed. And I follow the verse of the Quran, of Surah Al-Imran, chapter 3, verse 64, which says, "Ta'alaw ila kalimatin sawa'in bayna bainakum." Come to common terms as between us and you. Which is the first term? Allah na'budu illallah, that we worship none but Allah. And in such way, I've been to Australia, I've been to UK, and believe me, I've never been refused visa to any country in the world. And lately, after Peace TV started, I was recently last year in UK, and you know the Heathrow airport has a long queue. So I said, oh, it'll take another half an hour. And I was towards the end of the queue. Then there's an Englishman who calls me. I said, okay, one more interrogation. He said, Dr. Naik, how are you? Oh, have you come for a talk? So he makes me break the queue, thinking he wants to interrogate me, but he recognized me because he saw me on the channel. He said, have you come for a talk? I said, no, I've just come to meet my friend. Okay, when are you coming again for a talk? And now, because I come on the channel and people see me and they hear my views, it is a benefit. And especially in the Indian immigration. In the Indian immigration, most of the time, more than 75% of the time, when I go out of the country, when I come in, the immigration officer recognizes me, whether it's a gent or whether it's a lady. And I may have to spend some more time either answering the query or maybe giving an autograph. And most of them are Hindus, mind you. When I come through the custom, it's easier for me to walk out. Most of the time, I don't have to put my bag through the X-ray machine. Someone recognized me, oh, Dr. Naik, you need not go through the scanning. Once a Hindu customer told me, Dr. Naik, jo bhi kahenge sach ke siva kuch nahi kahenge. You know, as though I'm going in a court of law and putting my hand on the Gita, you know, the Hindus do, or a Muslim putting on the Quran, ke jo bhi kahunga sach ke siva kuch nahi kahunga. So what we realize, that if these Hindus were really offended, they should have given me trouble. Because these people have seen me on the channel. Recently, when I just came up yesterday from Dubai, one person said, that Zakir Naik mujhe complained. I said, what is the complaint? You know, your channel has stopped coming. I said, where do you stay? I stay at Andheri. I said, go and ask the cable operator. So he's complaining to me that why has the channel stopped? So what we realize, that being in this field of dawah, it has benefited me, alhamdulillah. It has never been an obstruction. And many a time, when I go to buy something, whether it be in India, whether it be in Dubai or other parts, many a time the shopkeeper, they don't want to charge me. Many times they want to give me a discount. Many times I go to restaurants, even the non-Muslims, when they recognize me, they don't want me to pay the bill. It's not only here, it's in Holland, it's in London, and I've traveled throughout the world, and very often. So this shows the power of the media. Not only amongst the Muslims, even the non-Muslims. When they recognize, they go out of the way. And this is what happens in the police. Even in the police force, mashallah, whether it be the Joint Commissioner of Police, whether it be the Commissioner of Police, and I have even been to the National Academy in Hyderabad. So, mashallah, never have the cap and the beard ever been an obstacle. In fact, it has always been a benefit for me. I did it because the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not for getting discounts, not for crossing the customs easier, but as we say, that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's the best to help you. And alhamdulillah, I'm proud to be a Muslim, and it even has a positive impact on the non-Muslims.
Jazakallah, Dr. Zakir, for those candid comments and your first-hand account, not armchair account, but being in the field in practice.
So surely I disagree with Barakadat being stereotype. This stereotype, if you call, the beard and the cap has always helped me. It has been a benefit for me. And this is what I wanted to tell even in the show. And you could see I was always raising the hand, and as Tanvi rightly said, he was there in the show. So he could know that I was raising the hand 75% time. But on the show, you could hardly see me maybe once or twice raising the hand. And I was following the rules. I don't want to interject anyone, I don't want to cut anyone, I'm not the moderator. So here you could see that though I was trying my level best and I felt like answering every query, it was like a battlefield going in my mind, the wrong comments made by the panelist and by the moderator. I wanted to answer to every of the query, but that's not the way how things go on. You cannot have everything what you like.
Maybe the audience and maybe Allah knows better. Your patience, inshallah, would be rewarded. Allah knows His ways and plans, inshallah, in a better way. We have two comments from the website. One we have from Rizaul Islam. He says, Assalamu alaikum, all of you. Jazakallah. May Allah reward you. I totally agree with what that's all the earlier people have mentioned about Dr. Zakir. Alhamdulillah. Here you all can watch most of those documentaries. One, it is on the website topdocumentaryfilms.com/watch-online. Second, www.911docs.net. And the third one is hubpages.com/hub-best-911-documentaries. So check it up, find the truth, share people as much as you can do. Best of luck, all of you. See more. May Allah help us to spread the truth. Ameen. In another comment, he further says, it is sad for us that our lover, Dr. Zakir Naik, has not more been given chance to speak. He should have been given more chance to speak. But good things are that it was clear for us Dr. Zakir Naik is once again proved himself. He is a true and brave Muslim, especially when he talked about Bin Laden and what are the real faces of media. May Allah protect us and guide us. Ameen. Jazakallah. From brother Arif Muhammad. He says, firstly, Barkadat once again proved it that media is against Islam. She asks actors like Shah Rukh who know nothing about Islam. He could be the best actor in the whole world. If you want to know who these terrorists are, then ask the politicians who take the law in their own hand. Muslims are not terrorists. And media as a whole is against Islam. And furthermore, Islam doesn't degrade a woman, it uplifts her. If in the name of art and culture you want to sell your wives, you want to sell your daughters, you all can do it. The Vedas also speak about hijab, Bible speaks about hijab. That is never discussed. And furthermore, Bhagavad Gita has more number of verses of fighting than Quran. Even Bible has verses of fighting that will never be discussed. Anyone wants to speak to me, mail me at arif_chef@yahoo.com. I am a chef and I am not a terrorist. So I think this is a new style we have developed. Professional Muslims, highly educated Muslims, this kind of Muslim and that kind of Muslim, and they have to say after that and clarify emphatically, I am not a terrorist. I would like Dr. Zakir to comment on that.
I am Zakir and I'm not a terrorist.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair for that. Lastly, we have one last long comment and a letter from one brother. It's interesting, it's long, but you would sincerely, carefully listen to what he has got to say. This is Brother Omar Sharif of Discover Islam Educational Trust. He has analyzed the talk show carefully, and this is what he says. Well, it was a very restless evening to start with when the masses came to know of a unique event where Shah Rukh Khan, Dr. Zakir Naik, Karan Johar, Soha Ali and others were set for a rendezvous on a sensitive issue. The event was aired by NDTV 24/7 TV channel in its regular program, We the People, with the topic of discussion Muslim identity anchored by Barkha Dutt, a woman well known to the masses in India. Interesting things were surfacing at the event. What is it? Barkha Dutt is worried about the Muslims wearing the skull caps, the Muslims wearing the burqas, the Muslims sporting the beards, and so on. I wonder why she and her team, including Mr. Pranoy Roy, haven't organized an event on the Hindu identity as well. Why can't Barkha Dutt invite members from the RSS, the Bajrang Dal, the BJP and so on, and ask them questions like, why do you wear saffron robes? Why do you drink the cow's urine while considering it to be sacred? Why do you not let the Shudras inside the temples? Why do you go naked in Haridwar? I'm talking about the Naga Babas. Why do you eat the flesh of the dead man while burning in the pyre? I'm talking about the Agoris. Why do you worship idols, snakes, monkeys, and men? By the way, the list of questions is too lengthy. Hope to see an event on the Hindu identity someday. Anyways, coming to the event that was watched by many, there was a set agenda by the media people. The agenda is to pose questions in such a manner that you get an incomplete answer and make the members in the panel to argue and end up in disagreements. This is an art in itself to bring differences amongst the people, and Barkha was trying her best to do that, while her true colors were shown by her face and body language in the course of doing that. By the way, everyone is not too good to have mastered this art as Tim Sebastian of BBC has, a witty and a shrewd moderator indeed. The questions posed by Barkha were not in any way to know the reason for the skull caps or burqas, but was to show the collision between the learned and the ignorant. How can anyone expect one answer in unison from the people of two extremes? While Shah Rukh Khan himself said he does not have much knowledge about Islam, to ask his opinion on the subject is to make him make mistakes and errors. For example, if we call parents and the children below the age of 6 to share the panels and ask them one common question, is it necessary to give vaccinations to the children? We are sure about the answer that we would get. No from children and yes from parents. One need not be a PhD to know this. The children out of ignorance would say no to the injections and vaccines, while on the other hand, the parents with wisdom and knowledge would say yes to give injections and vaccines. Even though the parents know of the pain that their children would undergo, they would decide on this being aware of the benefits of the vaccines. And that's the impact of having knowledge. Similarly, there were differences of thinking between the learned men and the ignorant men. Shah Rukh was a truthful person, for he said he does not have knowledge on Islam. Well, to say that I don't know is in itself half the knowledge. I congratulate Shah Rukh for that. But the man Kabir, who happens to be an ignorant on Islam, believes to know all about Islam. Now that's a disaster. While Dr. Zakir gave the definition of being a good Muslim, Kabir at once jumped with the comment by saying that it was a narrow understanding of Islam. Look at the ant challenging the elephant. What a miserable Kabir. Kabir never gave his broader understanding of Islam anyway. Now the moderator Barkha Dutt got what she wanted. The idea was to snub the scholars and the learned. They got what they wanted. Well, to talk about the media's strategies to get their set mileage would get too lengthy to deal with it now. I would skip some of the comments, this being a lengthy thing, and go on to the more interesting ones for our audience and Dr. Zakir. The issue of wearing skull caps and burqas were discussed in the forum. Mr. Ali Padamsi rightly said that even the Sikhs wearing the turbans and sporting the beards as well. In fact, people of all faiths have a symbol or label to represent their community. It is simple to understand. If NDTV channel and other channels didn't have a logo, it would be difficult to identify NDTV channel. While one is scrolling through the channels, imagine if the policemen, the advocates and the doctors wore a common uniform. It would be total chaos. Lunatic fringe. This was the expression that was directed toward the religious and learned Muslims in general. That was outrageous. If the comment was made on a specific group, that can at least be tolerated, but to make a general statement on them was totally misleading. We request the NDTV 24/7 to organize a debate between Dr. Zakir Naik and Barkha Dutt on the subject, is Islam the only solution for peace in India? If the NDTV has guts, let them relay it live to the masses as well. It's time for the Muslims to use all the media to spread the true message of Islam in an upright and forthright manner. This was written by Brother Umar Sharif, who is the president of Discover Islam Educational Trust, Bangalore.
If NDTV agrees, which I doubt, I will surely love to have a debate as long as it is aired live with Barkha Dutt on any topic on Islam, even the same topic, Muslim mandate. But it should be live. It would be my pleasure.
That was the open, truthful, exposing comment of Dr. Zakir. Let it be live, let it be fair, let it be just. I am all for it to explain my viewpoint. And we hope we see this dialogue of understanding the truth coming to light someday, inshallah.
But naturally, but the time given to both the speakers should be equal. It should not be moderated by anyone or changed. Equal time to both the speakers, irrespective whether it is 10 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. If both get equal opportunity to present the point, whether the moderator likes it or not, that is truthfulness, not to cut down or to interject.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Zakir Naik, for giving us so much time, for our brothers here, as well as many watching you on television. Can we just conclude on this, the most important point we would like to know, your advice and comments to all our Muslim brothers and sisters after all these various viewpoints, discussions, some critical, some favorable. The point they would like to ask you, your advice and comments on, should Muslims take part in talk shows?
As far as should Muslims take part in talk shows or not, point number one, whenever a Muslim sees a talk show, he should realize what is the agenda behind it. And if they see that Islam is being maligned, it can be two things. Either they bring a person who calls himself a Muslim but has no knowledge of Islam, so he makes a fool of himself, and he easily lets Islam be maligned. Or they may get a person who is knowledgeable and may not give him an opportunity to speak. So in this scenario, my advice to the Muslim Ummah, as far as attending talk shows are concerned, that if the person has no knowledge, he should not attend. But if the person has knowledge, and if he comes on the media otherwise, whether the print media or satellite media, he should not take part in a talk show generally without putting down conditions, because there are high chances that his answer will be manipulated. But on the other hand, if a person has knowledge on Islam and is well versed with the media but has no opportunity to come on the media, then he should take part so that at least the damage done by the media is minimized. As far as my final advice to the Muslim Ummah is concerned, that whenever they watch any channel, whether it be a news channel, whether it be entertainment channel, whichever channel it is, keep in mind that one of the main agendas of the media is to malign Islam. So whenever they find that Islam is being maligned, don't be impressed by it. It may be a distorted form. Therefore, if you see my talk, Media and Islam, War or Peace, I have said in detail how does the media go to different extents in trying to fulfill the agenda. That's the reason I personally am not too much in favor of news channels. Because according to me, news channels are more dangerous than the other channels. Because the other channels may have certain haram on it, maybe dancing, maybe singing, maybe pornography. But the news channel, it endangers the iman of a Muslim. It can lead to kufr. Therefore, according to me, the news channels are more dangerous than the other channels, especially for a Muslim. It can attack his iman and lead him to kufr. Therefore, beware. Whenever you watch a news channel, don't get swayed away by it. When you read a newspaper, even the newspaper is biased. But for average man to decipher the wrong information given in the print media is easier than on a news channel, a television channel, because a television channel involves vision and audio. And if that is manipulated, a layman may not know the difference and will think that actually happened. That's the reason, be careful next time you watch any news channel or talk show, and then inshallah, you may be able to decipher, if not all, at least part of the deceit of the media. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah bil alamin.
We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making possible this interactive and analytical forum on TV talk shows for all of us present here today, as well as the millions who would watch this, inshallah, on television. We thank all our brothers who have given us valuable inputs, queries, and concerns as a contribution to this program. And we thank Dr. Zakir for giving us his valuable comments, his clarifications, his conclusions to the analogy which was presented in a distorted form in some of the programs, giving us an idea how in some programs, if they're presented right, it does such a great good for Islam. In programs which are distorted, it can equally cause harm to the proper understanding of Islam. And in some programs, a mix of both. Where we need to take care, be aware, and where we need to take advantage of the opportunity, where we need to be careful about the threat. These are issues we learned well on this program, and we hope we share it with all those we meet beyond the realm of this interaction and knowledge. Thank you, Jazakallah khairan, for being such a nice audience and presenting such a good forum before all who would continue expressing this message on what TV talk shows are all about beyond this program itself. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.